Welcome back to Quietly Secure. Last time we explored the physical infrastructure behind the internet. The servers, the cloud platforms, data centres and the networks quietly supporting modern digital life. And in many ways those systems form the foundation of the internet. But layered on top of the infrastructure sits another system that most people rarely see directly. A system built around information itself. A collection of behavioural data, advertising, customer profiles, analytics, large-scale aggregation. What we might call the hidden data economy. Because in the modern internet, data does not simply stay in one place. It often moves between systems, companies, platforms, advertisers, and brokers in ways most never notice. And today we're going to explore how the ecosystem actually works. When people think about personal data online, they often imagine a single company holding a complete picture of somebody's life. But reality is usually more fragmented than this. Different services collect different kinds of information. A shopping platform may know your purchasing behaviour. A navigation app may process location activity. A streaming platform may understand your viewing habits. An advertising network may track interactions across multiple websites. Most systems only see a small piece of behaviour, but modern digital ecosystems allow for fragments to become surprisingly valuable when aggregated together. Not necessarily because companies are deeply interested in specific individuals, but because patterns at scale become commercially useful. One of the least visible parts of the internet economy involves data brokers, companies whose business revolves around collecting, organising, analysing, and selling access to large data sets. Sometimes this information comes from public records, sometimes from commercial partnerships, and sometimes from advertising systems, loyalty programs, surveys, apps and apps usage, and online activity. And often, the average person has never heard of the companies involved, because unlike social media platforms or search engines, many data brokers operate almost entirely in the background. Their customers are usually businesses rather than consumers, advertisers, marketing firms, analytics companies, and financial organisations. And much of the value comes not from a single data point, but from large-scale categorisation and prediction. One misconception about data collection is the idea that companies always maintain perfectly accurate personal profiles. In reality, much of the system operates probabilistically. Platforms often work with categories, likelihoods, and behavioural models rather than precise truths. For example, someone may be categorised as likely interested in travel, or technology, or fitness, or certain purchasing behaviours. These systems are often less about certainty and more about prediction. Because advertisers usually do not need perfect knowledge. They simply want better odds of reaching relevant audiences. And once information is analysed at enormous scale, even imperfect patterns can become commercially viable. One reason the data economy feels abstract is that most of it happens invisibly. People see advertisements, they see recommendations, they notice personalised experiences, but they rarely see the system exchanging signals underneath these experiences. Advertising exchanges operating in milliseconds, tracking technologies embedded into websites, analytics platforms processing behaviour continuously, background systems that share audience categorisations between companies. The modern internet contains huge amounts of machine-to-machine communication, happening constantly beneath the visible layer users interact with directly. And because these systems are designed to operate quietly, most people move through them without ever noticing. It's at this point discussion about data collection often becomes emotionally charged. Some people see all tracking as inherently harmful, others dismiss concerns entirely. But once again, reality is usually more complicated. Many modern conveniences genuinely rely on large-scale data systems. Traffic predictions, fraud detection, search relevance, recommendation systems, spam filtering, personalized services. These large datasets help platforms improve functionality, reliability, and the commercial performance. The trade-off is that modern digital convenience is often deeply connected to the background data collection, and different companies approach that trade-off differently. Some minimize collection aggressively, others build entire business models around extensive behavioural analysis. Understanding that spectrum matters more than assuming every platform operates identically. One difficult reality of the modern internet is that individual control over data ecosystems is limited. Even highly privacy-conscious users still interact with systems shaped by advertising networks, analytics platforms, financial databases, and large infrastructure providers. That does not mean that privacy protections are pointless, far from it. Using privacy-focused services, limiting unnecessary permissions, reducing oversharing, and understanding platform settings all meaningfully reduce exposure. But complete invisibility online is no longer realistic for most people living modern digital lives, and understanding that helps shift the conversation away from perfection. The goal is usually not total disappearance, it's awareness, reasonable control, and informed choices. Previous generations built economies around physical goods. The modern internet increasingly operates around information, attention, behaviour, predictions, engagement, and patterns. Data becomes valuable because digital systems made human behaviour measurable at enormous scales. And once behaviour became measurable, it became analysable, then optimisable, then more importantly, monetisable. This transformation quietly reshaped advertising, commerce, media, and much of the online world people experience every day, often without users fully noticing it happening. At the beginning of this episode, we explored the idea of a hidden data economy. And the reality is that much of the modern internet now operates through large interconnected systems, quietly collecting, processing, categorizing, and exchanging information in the background. Most people never see these systems directly, but they influence advertising, recommendations, analytics, fraud prevention, and countless other parts of digital life. And understanding that ecosystem helps explain why modern platforms behave the way they do. Not because the internet is secretly watching everything constantly, but because information itself became one of the most valuable resources in the digital world. Next time, we'll move beyond phones and computers entirely. Smart speakers, connected cars, smart TVs, appliances, and sensors. The internet is no longer limited to screens. It's gradually expanding into the physical environment around us. And we'll explore what that actually means and what risks are often misunderstood. Thanks for listening, and in all this, stay calm and stay quietly secure.